Cupboard.
Cupboard.
It's in the kitchen cupboard.
The cupboard doors were open.
The workers have been told not to expect a pay rise because the cupboard is bare.
Cupcake.
Cupcake.
The cup final.
Cup final.
Cupful.
Cupful.
Cupid.
Cupid.
Greg was playing Cupid when he introduced Paul to Sheila.
She vowed never to play Cupid again.
Cupidity.
Cupidity.
The cupidity of some businessmen.
Cupola.
Cupola.
A golden edifice with an onion-shaped cupola.
Cuppa.
Cuppa.
I'm dying for a cuppa.
Cupping. Cupping.
Cup tie.
Cup tie.
Saturday's FA Cup tie against Spurs.
Cur.
Cur.
Curable.
Curable.
Curacao. Curacao.
Curacy.
Curacy.
Curate.
Curate.
The book is something of a curate's egg. The book is something of a curate's egg.
Curative.
Curative.
The spring's alleged curative properties.
This herb was once thought to be a curative.
Curator.
Curator.
He's curator of prints at the Metropolitan.
Curb.
Curb.
Measures to curb the spread of the virus.
We are trying to keep a curb on their activities.
Curd.
Curd.
Curdle.
Curdle.
Milk may curdle in warm weather.
Cure.
Cure.
There is still no cure for AIDS.
There is no easy cure for loneliness.
The new treatment effected a miraculous cure.
Many types of cancer can now be cured.
An operation that can cure short-sightedness in 15 minutes.
She had some acupuncture treatment, which seems to have cured her.
90% of patients can be cured of the disease.
Attempts to cure unemployment have so far failed.
Nothing could cure her of her impatience with Anna.
Cured ham.
Cure-all.
Cure-all.
Investment is not a cure-all for every economic problem.
Curfew.
Curfew.
The government imposed a nighttime curfew throughout the country. The curfew was lifted on May the 6th.
The whole town was placed under curfew. Anyone found in the streets after curfew was shot.
Curio.
Curio.
Curiosity.
Curiosity.
I opened the packet just to satisfy my curiosity.
The news aroused a lot of curiosity among local people.
She decided to follow him out of curiosity. Margaret looked at him with curiosity.
Children have a natural curiosity about the world around them.
A man of immense intellectual curiosity.
It was idle curiosity that made me ask. It was idle curiosity that made me ask.
A house full of old maps and other curiosities. A house full of old maps and other curiosities. In the past, men who wanted to work with children were regarded as something of a curiosity.
It's not worth much, but I kept it for its curiosity value.
Curious.
Curious.
Puppies are naturally curious.
He was curious about how she would react.
Mandy was curious to know what happened.
Her shouting attracted some curious glances from other people in the restaurant.
He felt a curious mixture of excitement and panic.
A curious coincidence.
It's curious that she left without saying goodbye.
Curiously.
Curiously.
What have you got in there? Felix asked curiously.
Curiously, exactly the same thing happened to me a year ago.
She felt curiously calm.
Curl.
Curl.
Mary was busy curling her hair.
Ivy curled round the tree. Morning mists curled across the river.
He curled his arm around Claudia's waist.
Her lip curled in contempt. I just wanted to curl up and go to sleep. I just wanted to curl up and go to sleep.
Sarah was curled up on the sofa.
The letter was now yellow and beginning to curl up.
A little boy with beautiful blonde curls.
Use a diffuser to maximize the volume and curl of your hair. Use a diffuser to maximize the volume and curl of your hair.
Hair that has a natural curl.
Decorate the cake with chocolate curls. A curl of smoke rose from her cigarette.
Curler.
Curler.
Her hair was in curlers.
Curlew. Curlew.
Curling.
Curling.
Curling tongs.
Curling tongs.
Curly. Curly.
Long, dark, curly hair.
Cows with curly horns.
Curmudgeon. Curmudgeon.
Current.
Current.
Currency.
Currency.
The bank can supply you with foreign currency.
The euro is the single currency for 12 of the European Union's 15 member states.
The local currency is the Swiss franc. The argument has received wide currency.
Marxism began to gain currency.
The idea was common currency in European political life. The idea was common currency in European political life.
Current.
Current.
The current president.
In its current state, the car is worth £1,000. Strong currents can be very dangerous for swimmers. Some birds use warm air currents to help them fly.
Currents of warm air rising from the plane.
An electrical current. The committee reflects the different political currents within the organisation.
There was an underlying current of discontent among teachers.
Current account.
Current account.
Current affairs.
Current affairs.
Currently.
Currently.
The products that are currently available.
He's currently working on his first novel.
Curricular.
Curricular.
Curricular changes.
Curriculum.
Curriculum.
Languages are an essential part of the school curriculum.
Curriculum planning. IT is now on the curriculum in most schools.
Students are exempt from some classes in the curriculum for religious reasons. Students are exempt from some classes in the curriculum for religious reasons.
Curriculum vitae. Curriculum vitae.
Curried.
Curried.
Curried lamb.
Curry.
Curry.
Chicken curry.
Curry powder.
Curry powder.
Curse.
Curse.
Gilbert was cursing under his breath.
He cursed his bad luck in arriving just after she'd left.
Elsa cursed herself for believing his lies.
He muttered a curse under his breath.
He believed that someone had put a curse on the house. He believed that someone had put a curse on the house.
Noise is one of the curses of modern-day life.
Cursed.
Cursed.
The museum has been cursed by financial problems since it opened.
Cursive.
Cursive.
Cursive script. Cursor.
Cursor.
Cursory.
Cursory.
Even a cursory glance at the figures will tell you that sales are down.
A cursory examination of the evidence.
Curt.
Curt.
With a curt nod, he turned away and sat down.
A curt note.
Curtail.
Curtail.
The new law will curtail police powers.
Budget cuts have drastically curtailed training programs. Budget cuts have drastically curtailed training programs. Budget cuts have drastically curtailed training programs.
Curtain.
Curtain.
Red velvet curtains. Ella drew the curtains and switched the light on.
Open the curtains.
Before the curtain went up, the dancers took their places on stage.
A curtain of smoke.
The decision brought down the curtain on a 30-year career.
The room was curtained off by red drapes.
Curtain call.
Curtain call.
Curtained. Curtained.
Curtain hook.
Curtain hook.
Curtain raiser.
Curtain raiser.
A local team are playing as a curtain raiser to the game between England and Italy. A local team are playing as a curtain raiser to the game between England and Italy.
Curtsy.
Curtsy.
Curvaceous.
A tall, curvaceous young woman.
Curvature.
Curvature.
The curvature of the Earth's surface.
He suffered from curvature of the spine.
Curve.
Curve.
The curve of her hips.
A sweeping curve of railroad track.
The curve illustrates costs per capita. The market demand curve has increased.
The car took the curve much too quickly.
The track curved round the side of the hill.
A smile curved her lips.
Curveball. Curveball. When life throws you a curveball, you need to know how to handle it.
Curved.
Curved.
A curved wall.
Curvilinear. Curvilinear. Curvilinear patterns.
Curvy.
Curvy.
A curvy line.
Cushion.
Cushion.
A velvet cushion.
A cushion cover.
Good sport shoes should provide a cushion when running.
Savings can act as a cushion against unemployment.
His landing was cushioned by the fresh snow that had fallen.
Generous leaving allowances to help cushion the blow of redundancy.
Many parents try to cushion their children from the outside world.
Cushioning. Cushioning.
A lightweight cushioning material.
Cushy.
Cushy.
I wish I had a nice cushy job like her.
A very cushy number.
Cusp.
Cusp.
The country was on the cusp of economic expansion.
Cuss.
Cuss.
She got mad and started cussing him out.
Cuss word.
Cuss word.
Custard.
Custard.
Custard pie.
Custard pie.
Custodial.
Custodial.
Custodial care.
Custodial sentence.
Custodial sentence.
Custodian.
Custodian.
Farmers are custodians of the land for the next generation. Farmers are custodians of the land for the next generation.
A custodian at the stadium.
Custody.
Custody.
He got custody of his son after the divorce.
The mother is usually awarded custody.
A dispute over who should have custody of the children.
People will retain joint custody of their daughters. People will retain joint custody of their daughters. Alan is fighting a bitter custody battle over his 3 children.
The committee is looking at alternatives to custody.
The death of a man in custody.
A man is being held in police custody in connection with the murder.
A man has been remanded in custody charged with the murder of a schoolgirl. A man has been remanded in custody charged with the murder of a schoolgirl.
She was taken into custody as a suspect. Managers are responsible for the safe custody and retention of records.
The collection of art books is now in the custody of the university.
Custom.
Custom.
The guide offers information on local customs.
It's the custom for the bride's father to pay for the wedding. It's the custom for the bride's father to pay for the wedding.
The custom of naming women after flowers is becoming less common. The custom of naming women after flowers is becoming less common.
He awoke early, as was his custom.
She was stopped at customs and questioned.
It took ages to clear customs, but then we were out of the airport quite quickly.
You won't be able to take that through customs.
Customs officers.
The U.S. Customs Service.
An advertisement to attract more custom.
Smaller shops lose a lot of custom when supermarkets open nearby.
His son operates a custom furniture business.
Custom-made suit. Custom-made suit.
Custom-ordered vehicles.
Customary.
Customary.
In some cultures, it's customary for the bride to wear white.
Barbara answered with her customary enthusiasm.
Customer.
Customer.
We aim to offer good value and service to all our customers. We aim to offer good value and service to all our customers.
We've had several letters from satisfied customers.
Many of the banks offer a poor level of customer service.
He's one of our regular customers.
Customize.
Customize.
A customized car. Customs and excise.
Customs and excise.
Cut.
Cut.
They're introducing CCTV cameras in an attempt to cut street crime in the area.
You need to cut the amount of fat and sugar in your diet. You need to cut the amount of fat and sugar in your diet. Scientists are warning that unless carbon emissions are cut, we could be heading for an environmental catastrophe.
700 jobs will be lost in order to cut costs and boost profits.
The major aviation companies need to cut prices if they are to compete with budget airlines.
The welfare budget has been cut by $56 billion.
A new direct service will cut 2 hours off the flying time between London and Seoul.
Staffing levels had already been cut to the bone.
Do you want me to cut the cake?
The telephone wires had been cut minutes before the assault.
Jane cut the cord with a knife.
Can you cut me a piece of bread, please?
Using a pair of scissors, cut carefully along the dotted lines.
We'll need a saw that will cut through metal.
Cut the orange in half.
Cut the carrots into thin strips.
The curtain pole can be cut to length.
For reasons of hygiene, we had to cut our fingernails really short.
From outside came the sound of someone cutting the hedge.
It's about time you got your hair cut.
The original version was cut by more than 30 minutes.
The blade cut deep into the wood.
Strange letters had been cut into the stone.
Cut a hole in the middle of the paper.
Cut open the chilies and remove the seeds.
I noticed he'd cut his finger quite badly. Marcy said she'd cut herself on a broken glass. Marcy said she'd cut herself on a broken glass. Marcy said she'd cut herself on a broken glass.
That knife's extremely sharp. Mind you don't cut yourself.
On Eric's chin was a scrap of cotton wool where he'd cut himself shaving. On Eric's chin was a scrap of cotton wool where he'd cut himself shaving.
She fell and cut her head open.
I'll get a spare key cut for you.
The chair had been cut from the trunk of a tree. The chair had been cut from the trunk of a tree.
She had to be cut from the wreckage of her car. She had to be cut from the wreckage of her car.
He was in the vehicle for an hour before he was cut free.
Professional quality tools that cut efficiently and smoothly. Professional quality tools that cut efficiently and smoothly.
The t-shirt is cut fairly low at the neck.
To cut text, press Ctrl plus C.
Cut and paste the picture into a new file.
I usually cut through the car park to get to work. I usually cut through the car park to get to work.
Let's cut across the field.
The river cuts the whole region in two. The new road will cut through a conservation area.
First, cut the pack, and then deal the cards.
The band cut their first single in 2001.
A French company has reportedly cut a deal to produce software for government agencies. When the damage assessor called, he cut a check for $139. When the damage assessor called, he cut a check for $139. At the crucial moment, the camera cuts away and we don't see the murder. The shark is shown moving through the water, and then we cut to a shot of the beach. The shark is shown moving through the water, and then we cut to a shot of the beach.
She started cutting classes.
Both reporters cut their journalistic teeth on the same provincial newspaper.
There's a temptation to cut corners when you're pushed for time, but it's not worth it.
The band has cut short its U.S. concert tour. The band has cut short its U.S. concert tour.
Her athletic career was cut short by a leg injury. Her athletic career was cut short by a leg injury.
I tried to explain, but he cut me short. Cut the sarcasm, Jane, and tell me what really happened.
Cut the crap. I saw his car outside your house.
I saw Ian in town, but he cut me dead.
He decided to cut his losses and sell the business.
His mockery frightened her and cut her to the bone.
Mason cuts a battered but defiant figure. Mason cuts a battered but defiant figure. He'd just be cutting his own throat if he left now. He'd just be cutting his own throat if he left now.
The higher the interest rate, the greater the financial risk, which, of course, cuts both ways. Although the company has faced financial difficulties, they do not intend to cut and run.
It's unlikely that these arguments will cut much ice with Democrats.
Other magazines have tried to copy the formula, but have never quite cut the mustard. Other magazines have tried to copy the formula, but have never quite cut the mustard.
To cut a long story short, he threw them out of the house. Even in normal traffic, 20 minutes to get to the airport is cutting it fine.
Players who can't cut it soon quit the team. Players who can't cut it soon quit the team. A series of bribery scandals has cut a swathe through the government.
Domestic violence seems to cut across most social divisions. Domestic violence seems to cut across most social divisions.
Cut away all the dead wood.
Several major hospitals are cutting back on staff at the moment. Several major hospitals are cutting back on staff at the moment. Education spending cannot be cut back any further.
Richer countries must do more to cut back carbon emissions.
Cut back the shoots in spring to encourage bushier growth.
Try to cut back on foods containing wheat and dairy products.
Installing double glazing will cut down the noise from traffic.
By getting the design right, you can cut down on accidents.
I've always smoked, but I'm trying to cut down.
Cut down on fatty foods if you want to lose weight.
Hundreds of men were cut down by crossbow fire.
Your essay's too long. It needs cutting down a little.
What shall I do? Patrick cut in again.
Sorry to cut in on you, but there are one or two things I don't understand.
She cut in on a red Ford, forcing the driver to brake heavily.
The safety device cuts in automatically.
Come on, Joey, you promised to cut me in on this one.
One of his fingers was cut off in the accident.
Cut the fat off the meat. The gas had been cut off.
The U.S. has threatened to cut off economic and military aid.
I don't know what happened. We just got cut off. In winter, the town is often cut off by snow. Accessible only by air, the town is cut off from the rest of the country. Accessible only by air, the town is cut off from the rest of the country.
Many older people feel cut off and isolated.
Julia had been completely cut off by all her family and friends.
After his wife died, he cut himself off completely from the rest of the world.
Emma cut him off in mid-sentence.
The project aims to ensure that poorer people are not cut off from the benefits of computer technology.
My parents threatened to cut me off without a penny if I married him.
A man in a station wagon cut me off on the freeway. A man in a station wagon cut me off on the freeway.
The cancerous cells had to be cut out.
Billy showed me the article he'd cut out of the magazine. The children were cutting out squares from the scraps of material.
A catalytic converter will cut out 90% of carbon monoxide emissions. A catalytic converter will cut out 90% of carbon monoxide emissions. The idea behind these forms is to cut out fraud.
The current advice to pregnant women is to cut out alcohol. The current advice to pregnant women is to cut out alcohol.
Cut out the bit about racial prejudice.
Hey, you guys, cut it out. Mom's trying to get some sleep.
The new rules will cut out 25% of people who were previously eligible to vote.
In the end, I decided I wasn't cut out for the army.
Are you sure you're really cut out to be a teacher?
The engine cut out halfway across the lake.
You'll need sunglasses that will cut out harmful UV rays from the sun.
M's father decided to cut her out of his will. The boat cut effortlessly through the water.
You need someone to help you cut through all the irritating legal jargon.
A piercing shriek cut through the silence.
Could you cut the pizza up, please?
He cut the paper up into little pieces.
Some idiot cut me up on the motorway. Careful how you approach him. He can cut up a bit rough if he's got a mind to.
There will be cuts across all levels of the company.
Cuts in public spending mean that fewer people can go on to higher education. Cuts in public spending mean that fewer people can go on to higher education.
The decision to make cuts in healthcare provision has been widely criticised. The decision to make cuts in healthcare provision has been widely criticised.
A shorter working week will mean pay cuts for millions of workers. A shorter working week will mean pay cuts for millions of workers.
The building plans could be hit by possible spending cuts.
A cut of 1% in interest rates was announced yesterday.
That's quite a nasty cut. You ought to get it seen to by a doctor.
The driver escaped with minor cuts and bruises.
Make a small cut in the paper.
How much do they charge for a cut and blow dry?
A short, stylish cut.
I could tell by the cut of his suit that he wasn't a poor man.
She was determined to claim her cut of the winnings.
Spielberg himself oversaw the final cut. Spielberg himself oversaw the final cut.
The cut and thrust of political debate. The cut and thrust of political debate.
The movie is a cut above recent thrillers.
He proved himself to be a cut above the rest.
Long, slow cooking is more suitable for cheaper cuts of meat.